So I was going through a few things and cleaning out these cabinets here. Get ready to start working on stuff. Got a bit of a mold problem in this cabinet right here because of the buddy heater. Using propane heat in here, but that's a whole nother video. We'll get into that another time. What this one's about is pros and cons of owning an air-cooled Westfalia and some of the tools that make it a lot easier to work on this thing. Big con, of course, is how old it is. You're talking a 40-year-old vehicle, and everything could go wrong with it now. The rubber's old, everything's worn. A lot of parts that were put in here, like aftermarket parts, are worn now. So it's a collection of old parts. Has one major flaw, and that is the heads and doing what's called dropping a seat. Means the valve drops pretty much into the cylinder and you lose compression and you're only running on 3 cylinders. And until you change that head, you have a busted engine. The pros, the big one is the simplicity of this vehicle. 1981 technology and just as much technology as you needed. Like the fuel injection is about the smartest thing. But a lot of good old VW technology that works. Another thing is the way you can drop the engine out of this like you could any other Bug or older VW. Drops out the bottom. It's basically what they call a suitcase engine. It's a little more complicated than, say, a Bug engine, but it's still easy to drop out of the bottom. When you get into the Euro vans, it's like a regular vehicle. And the water boxers, you could still drop it out the bottom, but it got more complicated as the years went on. So the ease of maintenance on this thing is the best thing that I found out about it. Now this, an 80 or a 90 Vanagon Westfalia, camps the same parts. The newer refrigerant stuff are slightly different, but not enough to notice a difference when you're parked. So the camper's the same. Getting back from the campsite are two different things. So that if you want a vehicle like a bug out vehicle where you're gonna go up in the woods and you're gonna hide out there, after the apocalypse happens or whatever, this is a great vehicle to have because you can fix it really simple, really easy. The newer the vehicles, the more you got transistors and stuff in them, more parts, more stuff to worry about. I'm trying to remember all this stuff. If you're looking for another con is how slow they are, but I was thinking about it earlier, and actually, when we went camping in this thing, we'd go down, the backcountry roads in Texas, 40, 45 miles an hour, radio playing. If it was a nice autumn day, windows down, and just enjoying, going to the campsite or coming home. So the slowness, if you want a new vehicle, okay, you want to get to where you're going, have your fun, bring a lot of toys, you got a couple kids, this is not the vehicle for you. If you want to leisurely go camping like we used to, this was great. That's one reason I still have it. I've been through several cars, but always kept this little guy. Mostly out of fear of having to live in it, and I have lived in it a couple times, so I'll get into that if you want to do van life and something like this. But again, that's another video. Well, the biggest pro, like I said, was the ease of maintenance. You could figure out how to do stuff, and the literature and stuff is out there to fix this thing. All right, one of the biggest things, I'm going to show you some of the stuff. Since I was pulling stuff out of my cabinets, this is the big thing you want right here, and this is what they call the Bentley. All right, and this is from 80 to 83 and the diesel and camper. So this is basically only on the air-cooled. They had this in a different version. Well, it wasn't a different version. It was the same thing inside of here, just had a different cover, and it's this cover here. But anyways, this is like the Bible. It will tell you everything you need to know about this vehicle here, which makes fixing it and putting it back together real simple. So this is the Bentley, they call it. If you get on the Samba.com and you're into the posts and the forums and stuff, they'll say, get a Bentley, get a Bentley, get a Bentley. This is the one you want for the air-cooled. You can get newer ones, but they have a lot of information you don't need. This is everything you need for this van. So I can't stress this enough. Now, they used to be, this is the one that came with this when I bought it. And they used to be, I got one for $5 one time off eBay. Now I saw one for like 40, which was the cheapest I saw it on eBay. Another thing you're going to need is this thing right here, and it is a compression tester. All right. I got this at Harbor Freight a long time ago, probably 20 years ago. Still works fine. I don't, I'm not a mechanic or anything. I don't use it much. It was just used on this vehicle here. But it'll tell you about the major flaw, the drop seat. If you drop the seat in this, you want to check the compression, or you want to check it every so often to make sure you're not starting to drop a seat. Another thing you will want is a timing light. This is old school and do timing. And this one, I took and made the power for it longer so it'll reach up to the battery up here. A lot of times you're doing it in a regular car, the battery's right here. You always got to remember in this vehicle the battery's up front, so you need longer things for this, and also longer jumper cables. I bought jumper cables not too long ago, and I spent the extra money and got a 16-foot version. That way, since the battery's up here, somebody behind you needs, you need to jump, and they can only get in behind you. Or up front, you can run it around. So you always want to get longer jumper cables. Something good to have. Another thing too is this, a starter button. You're going to need that if you're going to do your compression. And another great thing to have is a multimeter. Now, like I said, this vehicle is easy to work on, and you've got all the information you need about it available. And a multimeter is the one thing that says in here all the checks you do for your fuel injection and everything. Mostly all you need is a multimeter. There's also another manual that's available online free on the Samba.com. I'll leave a link in it below. Yeah. And it's the Type 2 fuel injection manual. All right. And it tells you all the checks you need to do for every part of the fuel injection. And all you need usually is a multimeter or maybe something else. Most of the checks you can do, there's a few that are really too dangerous, like the fuel injector spray test, where you basically take your fuel injectors and put them in a beaker, it shows, and let gasoline spray in it and see how it's spraying. And that's not really too safe anymore. And it's hard to do anyways. So what you want to do with your fuel injectors is send them out and get them tested and refurbed if they need it. But again, that's for another video for another day. What else? Really, the most important thing is the Bentley, and trying to get yourself one that's just the air-cooled version. As far as other tools, I told you this assuming that you already have socket set, screwdriver, all that kind of stuff, and already know how to use it. All right. But really, if you can work around the defects like the head, I've got a head sitting over there, and I'm going to make another video about what is a drop seat and how it happens. But if you can get over that and use what's available in the van, one of the things I always found funny when I was on the Samba and talking to people is they did not want to drop the engine. I lived in an apartment complex, and I still would go over like to the grocery store, and they had a parking lot behind it. I'd go hide there and I'd do work and stuff like that. But if you're willing to do the work on this vehicle, it's a great little family camper, or it was for me. But anyways, that's today's video.